Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back into the SFS channel. My name is Gavin, and today I'm going to be walking you through the draft board, giving you 10 names that I see as potential breakout candidates for the 2021 fantasy football season. I've got a variety and a mixture of just about every position on the table for today's video, so hopefully that gives you some good quality information to bring to draft day. As always, if you have any questions about today's video, you can drop those down in the comment section as you watch, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. So without further ado, drop down, give today's video a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's hit the intro and get right in to the breakout players. As we get started in today's video, if you find that you'd like to check out any more information about any number of these players, I've got in-depth player profiles and analysis on all 10 of these guys, as well as 240 other top 2021 fantasy football players in my draft guide collection. The link to that, can be found in the description of today's video, and you can go get that. It's the best value on the fantasy market this season, crammed with information for a very affordable price. Also, check out the Discord channel before we get started today. That's another way you can take advantage of me as a fantasy resource. Pick my brain, ask me questions. Obviously, I'll get back to you in the comment section if you ask me stuff there as well, whenever I see that pop up in my notification box. But that's just another way to take advantage of the channel here. Additionally, I've got some mock drafts that we do on there with subscribers every week, so you could pop in one of those as well. But my first name on the list here, probably one of my favorites, the strongest breakout candidates this year, is Antonio Gibson of the Washington football team. There's not a lot I don't like about this situation. Antonio Gibson has a very dynamic skill set, and that's one of the most valuable things that we can find as fantasy football players. He's a strong pass catcher. He's a very good rusher as well. Transitioning from wide receiver to running back in the NFL seemed like something that would take him a bit more time, but he did it pretty seamlessly, very quickly, and boom, he finished as the RB13 last season despite not really starting games at the beginning of the year and suffering from turf toe at the end of the season. Additionally, Kyle Allen, one of the quarterbacks on that Washington roster, said they're trying to kind of integrate him into that role of being a Christian McCaffrey-esque player in terms of how he's utilized in this offense. That's a dang good role. That's a big-time role for a second-year player. He's still got fresh legs. He's got a lot of gas left in the tank, and he's going to probably be the engine behind a lot of championship teams this season because I think there's just too much to like here. The division matchups are great. He feasted against the Cowboys last season. The Eagles should be a nice matchup for him. The Giants are a bit tougher, but obviously on top of those games, we've got 10, 12-plus games after that. So a lot of stuff to like here. Washington being the NFC East champions last season. They've got a little bit of a target on their back, but that's besides the point here. It doesn't really impact his fantasy situation. Nonetheless, I love Antonio Gibson this year. In PPR, standard leagues, it does not matter for me. This guy is in for big things this season. CeeDee Lamb, my number 2 player on the list here, the first wide receiver on the board. Upside, upside, upside. That's the name of the game for these breakout players. Who can you find on the draft board that looks as if they've got the chance to have a monster ceiling and significantly improve upon either previous year's productions or just plain and simple their average draft position? So CeeDee Lamb going in the 4th round here absolutely could be a top 12 wide receiver when it's all said and done. He very well might just be the most productive Dallas Cowboys wide receiver and dethrone Amari Cooper from that previous reign there. Not to say that Amari can't be productive and they can't simultaneously be very good fantasy options, but CeeDee's got the chance to be a very special player in this offense this year. And for a player who flashed so much talent as a rookie without his starting quarterback on the field, there's some issues. There's some concern right now with Dak's shoulder. He's supposedly back at practice. We'll see what that escalates and evolves into. But for the time being, I'm expecting Dak will be out there Thursday, September 9th, week 1 against Tampa Bay. I will note that might be an ugly performance. I think the Cowboys might get mopped off the field in that game. I hope for a good game because there'd be no better way to kick off the season. That's a very, very star-studded offense going up against another star-studded offense. So it should be a fun game, but just keep that in mind. Moving forward after that, though, if they're healthy, if they've got the quarterback play, CeeDee Lamb and that Dallas offense is going to be a very, very productive system this year. Brandon Aiyuk. Now, he kind of had a breakout towards the end of last season, and some of these other names on the list did as well. But I think that he will take things to the next level this year. He's another player that I could see finishing on the very fringe of wide receiver 1 production. If he doesn't make it, he will be an elite wide receiver 2 candidate for this season. The 49ers have a very easy schedule. People don't realize and maybe tend to forget, this roster is very, very good. They are an elite team, and they're playing, what, a third-place schedule in this division? Or actually, I think they're playing a fourth-place schedule because I think the Cardinals finished third in this division last year and almost made the playoffs. This is going to be a team that bounces back. Health is the one thing that kept them out from being a Super Bowl contender coming off of that Super Bowl runner-up season in 2019. Aiyuk is the best wide receiver on this team. I freaking love Deebo Samuel, but he is not as good running routes downfield as Brandon Aiyuk is. They're both very strong players at the line of scrimmage, both do very good jobs after the catch, but I think that there's a little bit more versatility. There's a little bit more of a complete dynamic to Aiyuk's game, and he's been rumored or reported to be the favorite wide receiver target amongst the 4 quarterbacks at 49ers camp this offseason. I've said that probably a million times in videos this offseason for you guys as well, but it's very important and worth noting because having the largest target share in an offense, even if George Kittle outpaces him at the tight end spot, still being the most targeted receiver is a very, very, very valuable piece of this offense and will translate into fantasy success just from having volume on his side. Travis Etienne. Now, this is a bit of a riskier pick. If you're going to take him at the early stages of the 4th round in 12-team leagues, I might tell you to back off on him a little bit. But the upside here is unquestioned. The thing that we all want to point to and think of right away is Alvin Kamara. He won't be that good right away, trust me. I think that Urban Meyer's usage, although Etienne has the talent to be as efficient and as effective as Kamara one day, it might not come right away in season 1. But what I do think can happen here is for a player that you're probably hoping to get in the late 4th, early 5th round, he can be an elite running back 2 producer, but I think we still would prefer to have him as our RB3 on our roster. More of a PPR play here, I would say, as opposed to a standard league play because we're not really sure how his red zone usage and versatility will be this season. I would expect him to do more damage just plain and simple in the passing game. So that's why you're going to look at him more in PPR leagues, catching passes, whether it's out of the backfield, split out wide in the slot, or however Urban Meyer decides to break down his utility for this offense. I think he will have a very valuable and meaningful role to this team, however, and I think that for Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be struggling to have consistent protection from that offensive line, he's going to be looking to get the ball out quick to shifty players in the slot who can just make things happen after the catch. I'm looking at Laviska Shenault and Travis Etienne here. So there's a lot of value to be had. The upside, again, is fantastic. The floor, though, is a little bit risky, a little bit dicey. So there's a chance that we don't see him reach his full potential even by the end of this season, which is typically when we see breakouts happen for rookie running backs down the stretch. Chase Edmonds, another PPR play, but a player I can't dismiss or overlook here. Kenyon Drake's out of town. That means Chase Edmonds gets to step up and take grasp of the top running back workload in this offense. Chase Edmonds still is not going to be very utilized on the goal line. His touchdown upside is still virtually non-existent. I think that it would be generous to have him slated in for 7 total TDs on the year because I think when they get in the red zone, James Conner is going to be the back on the field and he's going to be the guy that they're using. But man, look at how efficient he was as a pass catcher as the reserve running back and just the third down player. He was a quality flex candidate in half PPR leagues last year. Forget full PPR. Bring Edmonds in as a player who now has added rushing value on top of his potential to produce as a receiver. I really like what we can get here. The ceiling will increase. The floor gets even better than it was a season ago. And if somehow he can find a way to carve out a role for himself in the touchdown game, that's not something I'm expecting or projecting for him, but that would just be fuel to the fire. This is a high-paced, tempo offense that tends to produce very well for these receiving back types. The next player up here also kind of had a breakout in his rookie season. Chase Claypool, the wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, only technically was listed as a starting wideout for this team in 6 games a season ago, and he still had an incredibly productive year, actually outscored in terms of raw fantasy point production and output Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster. So The main factor and reasoning behind that is the touchdowns, which he excelled and was better than the other two in. He was tied in receiving touchdowns with Juju, but he added 2 rushing touchdowns on top of that, which ultimately propelled him over the top. Nonetheless, the Steelers team is an incredibly high passing volume offense. There's going to be a lot of looks to go around. All 3 of these guys will probably crack 100 targets this season. Maybe even 2 or 3 of them could see 110 plus. I think that when you look at Deontay Johnson, who saw 144, if you expect him to lead this team in offense, it's going to be a battle between Chase Claypool and Juju to see who can lock up that number 2 usage rate. But what Chase Claypool has for him going better than those other 2 players is this dude can flat out fly. We saw him make the explosive plays happen. He's got the wheels to not only get open downfield, but to outrun players once he gets open, catches the ball, and finds space. So he's not just a one-trick pony. You see a lot of these bigger wide receivers. That's what Chase Claypool is. He's got a big wingspan, which I love for him down in the red zone. You see a lot of those guys come in, the Travis Fulghams of the world, and they're just jump ball players inside the 20-yard line. Chase can get the job done at any point in the field, and he could go over the top for a 70-plus yard score. He did it in, I think, week 2 against the Broncos last year. So there's a lot I like here. The touchdowns is something I expect him to continually be better than the other 2 Steelers in on the field, because I think that his size and his frame, if Ben Roethlisberger is smart, is where he should be going with the football. So the upside, again, is great. I expect with 17 starts this year, if he can stay healthy, hopefully, these numbers could get real good real fast, and he has the perfect build, skill set, athletic ability to be a fantasy monster this season. Michael Pittman, this isn't a player I love, and honestly, I hate to say this, but I think that his skill set is rather average. He has really nice size. This is more of a one-trick pony build. He has less elite athletic ability than a Chase Claypool, in my opinion, but Pittman does have a complete game. He is, again, not really elite at any one trick or another, but the Colts need somebody to step up to the plate and to be a receiver they can throw to in all areas of the field. That's why I like him as a breakout candidate, because I see almost a role where he gets force-fed the ball here. T.Y. Hilton is unreliable at this point in his career. I liked him early on as a sleeper candidate with Carson Wentz on the field, but with his health kind of up in the air, I'm not so confident, and I've backed off of that take since. Paris Campbell's another guy. I think both of those players are over the top, deep shot players. T.Y.'s gotten a little bit more usage in terms of his red zone capability and scoring touchdowns in that area of the field later on in his career. But I think Pittman has the best chance to step in and be the leading target holder for this offense. He's just going to be used. They need somebody. Like I said, I mean, Zach Pascal had 8 touchdowns last year, I believe it was. It wasn't too incredibly productive outside of the red zone. Michael Pittman's a guy I think can be fed the ball in the red zone because of the size, the frame, the wingspan he has, in addition to having a handful of 100-plus yard games, because I think that he can get 7-8 catches on given performances when the team has to look at him 8 to 10 times in the passing game because they just flat out need someone to step up to the plate. So again, I don't overly love him as a talent, but the situation here is what makes the player. Look at a Jamison Crowder. You wouldn't typically love him or say he's an elite player. He's a very good slot receiver, but he's not an elite NFL wide receiver. They force-fed him the ball in New York. They had no one else to throw to. He comes out, put up top-end wide receiver 2 performances, even finished as a top 12 wide receiver, I'm sure, in various weeks, because there was games when he was putting up multiple touchdowns, having 70-plus yard catches. That's just what happens when you are forced the ball. You're going to eventually catch one of them, come down with a pass, make a big play. It's bound to happen at some point or another. Elijah Moore, this is one where a bit of a sleeper wide receiver candidate in this rookie class. I think him and Zach Wilson could be the real deal. Corey Davis seems like the safer pick to lock in as the wide receiver 1 for the Jets, and I just talked about him as a must-own player in the 10th round of 12-team leagues. But I think the real ceiling value here comes from Elijah Moore, who is an over-the-top field stretcher out of the slot that can also be a very, very dangerous play running the entire route tree. He's got all the talent in the world. You've heard teams, or players rather, like Odell Beckham Jr., who maybe his word isn't quite as reliable as some other people in the league because he is a bit of a talker, but he said Elijah Moore just might come out here and be all-pro as a rookie. Not saying that's going to happen. I would actually tell you and bet that he will not finish as an all-pro player as a rookie. But he could be a very, very good player. Maybe not quite to the extent of a Justin Jefferson last season, but I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that he could have somewhere between a Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb-esque rookie season in terms of his production output. That's big-time numbers for a player that was drafted in the second round of the NFL draft, and in fantasy leagues, he's a later-round pick even in my 12-team league. So I like this one a lot. I think Elijah Moore's got a lot of potential to be a big-time player for us this year. Darnell Mooney for the Chicago Bears, now the wide receiver 2 in that offense. I love this one too. Give me Darnell Mooney, 98 targets as a rookie, only 6 official starts going back to a Chase Claypool. You're going to see more opportunity here, more established volume on a week-over-week basis when he has that job locked down. I think that Mooney having better quarterback play this year will help a lot as well. Even Andy Dalton's an improvement. If he plays 10 games this year, I still like Andy Dalton more than I liked Mitchell Trubisky last season. I think that Justin Fields, when he comes in here, he's going to help Mooney take the top off defenses. We've all seen him in the success he had getting open downfield on some very good cornerback play last year. A 5th-round rookie out of Tulane a season ago looks like a heck of a good draft pick for Chicago. We should be excited about the upside he has this year. Then my last breakout candidate is his quarterback, Justin Fields. I mean, Matt Nagy wants to tell us and force feed us that he won't be the week 1 starter, but even if he's not, what do we give him till week 3, week 4? You're talking about a player who has the size. He looks the part. He has the arm strength, a cannon, the athletic ability, the commitment. I'm a Packer fan, and I have not done anything but rave about Justin Fields all offseason long. This dude is going to be the real deal. It's awfully scary as a Packer fan. It might be Jordan Love versus Justin Fields for the next 10, 12 years if both of those players work out. And instead of it being like the Aaron Rodgers situation where every year he's healthy, Green Bay's dominating the division, it could be a flip-flop year in and year out. Who is winning this division? Chicago has a lot of good things going for them with this kid on their roster. He's just going to uncork the football and just his rocket arm is going to make some big plays. A-Rob, that's one of the best wide receivers in the league. So undervalued and criminally underrated by the NFL community. Darnell Mooney, he'll help him stretch the field. You've got Tariq Cohen out of the backfield. David Montgomery is a stable run game. A young tight end in Cole Kmet. Quarterbacks aren't all that valuable in one team or one QB leagues. But man, the upside here, if you want to take Justin Fields as your QB2, he's growing more and more on me lately. After watching him against a very capable defense of Miami that's incredibly well coached, I'm feeling a little bit better about this situation here. I can get behind some Justin Fields this season. And I think that if you want to go out there, take a risk on him as your second quarterback, or if you're in a super flex league, have him come in as your QB3 or 4. No point not to do that. This is a very, very strong upside pick that could have upside similar to a Justin Herbert or some of the other quarterbacks we've seen come on strong in the rookie seasons as of late. All right, man, there we go. I'm super excited about the names on the board today. I can't wait to see them get out there on the field and hopefully expand upon the performances that they've either had or will have in the rookie seasons here. A lot of these names are second year players from 2020 in that rookie class, and then we've got some rookies for the 2021 season sprinkled in here as well. So a lot of people I feel very, very confident in. I think this list will turn out to be some of the most impactful players in the outcomes of leagues this season. I can make another one of these videos if you guys request it and would like me to do so in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to do that for you all. Again, if you've got questions, drop those down there as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. One more time, the 2021 Draft Guide Collection is linked in the description of today's video. Go check that out. Support the channel here. We've got merchandise and other cool stuff on our website that I'd love to see you all repping as well. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.